Being on a competitive edge has always been in my nature, just because I was grown up with triplets and we always fought with each other to be heard. We always wanted, to outshine each other. So the competitive edge was always there. If I didn't get into martial arts, it might have been bodybuilding or something to that nature. When I was younger, it was tough growing up. My mom is Native, but my dad was Greek, so I don't really look Native. So when I was growing up on the Squamish Nation Indian Reserve, I looked like the white kid in amongst a bunch of natives. So they always used to pick on me a lot, and I used to get into fights and used to get beat up a lot. So it was pretty tough growing up. By the age of 8, I was tired of getting beat up, so I asked my mom to put me in some type of martial arts classes. I used to watch Bruce Lee movies and Chuck Norris movies, and I was really fascinated by how this little guy could beat up like 5 guys at the same time, and it was always really fascinating to me. And I just thought to myself, I want to be like that. And then so my mom put me in some kung fu classes, and then away it went from there. I was fairly good at my martial arts. I could actually do the full splits. I was good at kickboxing, and I knew a little bit of jiu-jitsu, but I didn't. It wasn't the jiu-jitsu that everybody does. It wasn't Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It was more the stand-up jiu-jitsu, joint manipulation, where you just grab them in a wrist lock and then you just flip them down, and that's the end of it. So then I met this guy in high school that I used to watch get into fights, after school and at the arcade and stuff, and he would fight guys twice his size. He would shoot in, grab them, take them down, and get on top, and he would basically was doing the ground and pound. And this is before UFC even was shown over here in the western side of the world, and I was like, how do you do that? And he was saying, wrestling. You gotta learn how to wrestle. Now he was the 4th BC champ at the time in wrestling, but he was also a street fighter. He got into fights all the time. And so I asked him to teach me how to do that, because even though I was good at my martial arts and I could throw fast kicks and punches and stuff, I still had that fear if somebody grabbed me, a bigger, stronger opponent grabbed me and took me to the ground, that I might not know what to do. So once he started showing me that at the stage at the high school that I went to, Carson Graham, I would get into fights, and I started doing more wrestling, and I never lost. I never lost a fight after that. I used to wrestle with all my friends and people, and they would get on top of me, and I would just wrestle and get out of it, and then I would be on top of them and get them in a move. So they would call me Tricky, so that's where the name came from. I was still looking for the grand martial arts class. I had gone through a lot of different schools, would go in for free lessons here, free lessons there, would join a school for 2-3 months, and I'd be like, this is not what I'm looking for, because at the time I was still getting into fights. I wanted to, be like Bruce Lee, was that stuff real? Does it actually work in a fight? And, I'd attend different martial arts seminars, and it just wasn't what I was looking for. There was no real reality base, this wouldn't work if some huge guy or some guy was actually combatively coming at me with a broken rhythm. These techniques aren't going to work. So I couldn't find anybody. And then my brother Andy was like, he said, oh, there's this style called Cyclone Fighting Arts, and I was like, Cyclone? I've never heard of it before, right? And he goes, yeah, it's in the Yellow Pages. So I opened up the Yellow Pages, and I found a little article, and then I phoned it, and a guy named Fred answered the phone, and he said, yeah, come down for a free lesson. I thought, same old stuff, right? So I went down for a free lesson, and within 5 minutes, my eyes were just like that big. I was like blown away by what this guy could do. It was like meeting Bruce Lee, but in modern times. And he showed me all the different ranges of martial arts. Like, he actually broke it down for me scientifically, instead of teaching me a religion or teaching me a traditional martial art. He was like long range, medium range, short range, kicking, punching, trapping, grappling, and really spoke to me in English, instead of saying teaching you a wrist lock and they're going, oh, we're going to teach you Kodogayashi, or teaching you in some, or Senkyo, or some, foreign language. He was like speaking to me in plain English, and I could understand it, and he had everything that I wanted to learn, from the grappling to the kicking to the punching to the trapping, and teaching me how to use weapons like sticks, knives, fighting with a pen, fighting with pocket change, your cell phone, everyday objects. So it was really more of a street self-defense style, but he also became a very good mentor to me as well, because at the time I was getting into a lot of fights in the street, and this guy really changed my mentality, and he taught me how to be humble, and he taught me how to walk away, and really helped me learn how to be at peace with myself, at the same time teaching me how to be this great warrior. Cyclone fighting arts definitely opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. Kung Fu or karate is good at first, because it's like with anything, you're teaching somebody young to speak, you teach them the letters first, and then with the letters you make words, and then with the words you make sentences. So in any traditional style is good to start off with, because it will teach you the very minimum basics to somebody that doesn't know anything about martial arts at all. And then once you get those patterns down, then you would start breaking them up and then going more free flow and grabbing and taking from each different style and mixing it into an MMA mixed martial art. I just felt that I needed to go independent, because I felt that I could just do everything on my own faster, and I just felt like I was being anchored down. So I just wanted to, run with it and see what I could do with it. I just had this, gut instinct to just, cut the tie and then run. So it ended up being a good decision. I fought independent in the other fight, and then I ended up meeting with Mr. Paul Kalman of Raw Academy, and ended up getting sponsored by the Raw Academy after them seeing my wins, and after them seeing the way that I market myself. I get out there and I market myself, and I'm easy to talk to. I'm approachable and marketable, and so I've just using that to my advantage. And then so now with the Raw Academy being, such a great gym, and having the proper huge mats, and having the two boxing rings with all the bags, and you got Olympic coach Frank Mensa, and now you got MMA coach Raging Cajun Johnson, and you got top guys that are starting to come in here and train. It was just, everything just feels like intelligent design. It just feels like it's all meant to be, the dominoes are all falling down into place. So I want to make a shout out to my mom, who's been so unbelievably supportive in me doing this, and actually coming out to my fights and watching. At first you would be worried about, she was worried about me, and now she's actually out there in the stands, screaming louder than anybody else. I'd also like to thank Noelle Barrett, my girlfriend, who's actually one of my sports psychologists who helps me with my mental game. And I also want to make a shout out to Tap Out for sponsoring me in my last fight, and with the new merger that they're having with Silver Star and future sponsorships with them. Want to make a special shout out to Raw Academy, my wrestling coach Frank Mensa, Paul Kalman, and other future coaches that I'll be meeting here, like Crew Williams and Tony Strong, as well as some of the jiu-jitsu coaches that I'll be training with here, and Mike Weiss with the boxing. I also want to shout out to Cyclone Fighting Arts and Fred Chidian, my good friend, my mentor, and my teacher for the last 17 years. Thanks, Fred. And Top Rank Martial Arts. And what else do I got here? P-Walk Construction, Snake Eyes Entertainment for my walkout song, and Discreet the Chosen One. He's a good friend of mine from Known Well Productions. I just want to say thank you all so much, and last but not least, I want to thank all those kids from Raw Academy. Some of them are BC champs. They're only like 15, 16 years old, but these kids, I look up to them so much. They help push me. They running around, training with these young guys is helping, making me feel young again, and they really drive me when I feel I can't get up. They're screaming at me, never give up, never give up. And in my last fight, those were the words that I heard ringing in my head were from the kids at Raw, and I just want a huge shout out to those kids.
Tricky!